Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing some files that I was reading last night when my latest video came out detailing the latest exclusive FBI declassification of the Operation Encore files, which is an FBI investigation into Saudi links with the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. So I was reading through half of the I want to say about 200 pages of 510 files last night. And I saw some interesting things. And for the first time, we now have what some of us had confirmed in our own minds, that we now have direct links between the Saudi government and the 9/11 hijackers, at least some of them anyway. And one such official is Omar Al Bayoumi. Now, some of us have always stated that Omar Al Bayoumi was a Saudi government agent at some level who was assisting the first two hijackers that entered the United States in January of 2000, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, who were part of the hijacking of American Airlines Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon. And I want to share with you are the first 2 pages. And this is the first page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share these pages and read with you about what's seen here. And this page here, which is a part of the Pent Bomb investigation, the FBI's Pentagon Twin Towers bombing investigation team, that determined that Omar Al Bayoumi had assisted hijackers Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi as an employee of the Saudi Arabian Presidency of Civil Aviation. And the person who was in charge, or his boss, or his paymaster, was Hamid al-Rasheed, who is his boss at the Saudi Arabian Presidency of Civil Aviation. So as we could see here, the details, our investigation has determined that Omar Al Bayoumi assisted hijackers Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi after their arrival in San Diego, approximately February of 2000. Now, they arrived in January of 15 of 2000, and the 9/11 Commission states that they don't know where they were for the first 2 weeks in January, but it is now asserted that they stood with a Saudi imam at the King Fahd Mosque in Culver City, Los Angeles, Fahad al-Thumeri, who was staying at a hotel, rooms that he had rented. Now, it also says, specifically, Al Bayoumi assisted the hijackers in securing an apartment by obtaining a cashier's check for them and by signing as a guarantor on the lease application. Al Bayoumi also assisted al-Mihdhar in opening a bank account. Now, those were the details that were known to us back in 2003, but these files now illuminate the following. Further investigation into Al Bayoumi determined that Al Bayoumi has been employed by the Saudi Arabian Presidency of Civil Aviation since 1975. An individual interviewed by the FBI advised that PCA employee Hamid al-Rasheed, business number, and it's redacted, was involved in the payment of salary to Al Bayoumi. Furthermore, this individual identified Hamid al-Rasheed as the father of Saud Abdulaziz Saud al-Rasheed. At the time of this identification, the photograph of Saud al-Rasheed was being broadcast in the news media as a result of the issuance of an international Be on the Lookout BOLO. Now, in the next page, you're going to see why this is huge. For Saud al-Rasheed, after an image of his passport has been found on a CD-ROM, along with images of the passports of 9/11 hijackers Khalid al-Mihdhar, Salim al-Hazmi, and Abdulaziz al-Omari. Since that time, blank, reference, blank, media reports regarding Saud al-Rasheed have identified his father to be Abdulaziz Saud al-Rasheed, an employee of Saudi Red Crescent in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This information clearly differs than the information previously obtained by the FBI. In order to clarify that the father of Saud al-Rasheed is not the same individual who's associated with Al Bayoumi, it is requested that Legat confirm the identity of the father of Saud al-Rasheed and determine if he was ever employed at PCA. Additionally, it is requested that Legat blank confirm the employment of Hamid al-Rasheed at PSA. And he did. Both men were employees of PCA, and they were paymasters of Omar Al Bayoumi. And now this is really big because now we have a direct link between government officials and some of the hijackers. And what I had not known previously was that a Saudi government official is on a same CD-ROM, well, his picture anyway, with other hijackers of 9/11. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that he knew about the hijacking? He knew about the operation, Saud al-Rasheed? We don't know until we get to interview him, and whether or not that is in the next 300 pages, I'm not sure. But it probably would have been reported at the time, but I guess not. But I still got 300 more pages to read. Not only that, I could see that the media didn't hit on this. This is the first direct link of Saudi government officials' involvement with paying somebody who is paying the hijackers or assisting them anyway. It shows you the power of the Saudi lobby. And for those, you know, and I agree with you here, that the Israeli lobby is the only lobby that counts and it's the most powerful lobby. Well, that's not necessarily true. The Saudi lobby has more money than Israel. Israel is actually a poor country. Saudi Arabia is a rather rich country. And even though Israel has more probably deeper contacts in Congress, Saudi Arabia has powerful contacts in Washington that have a vested interest in the oil companies in Saudi Arabia. Now, the next file is from the FBI's counterterrorism unit in New York, and they investigated an individual by the name of Osama Basnan. Osama Basnan was a link to the hijackers. In fact, he's actually more militant than them. He's actually threw a party for a landmarks plotter, orchestrator, who was actually somewhat involved with the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and Egyptian militant of the Gamma Islamiyah, Omar Abdul-Rahman, known as the Blind Sheikh. In the early 90s, Osama Basnan threw a housewarming party for him when he entered the United States that was actually monitored by the FBI. Basnan, in this document, had met with a cooperating witness or a CW for the FBI, who actually recorded his conversation with Osama Basnan. And this was pretty huge, to be honest with you. So the synopsis is the document relevant information obtained during a consensually recorded personal conversation between a San Diego cooperative witness, CW, and target subject Osama Yusuf Basnan on blank 2001 in San Diego, California. It is asserted that this month took place after 9/11. As you can see, it's dated September 24, 2001. Whether this was before 9/11 or after 9/11, I think this was after, if I read it right. I'm not sure. Yesterday, I thought it was after 9/11. Let's read it together. On blank 2001, a source who is in position to testify met with Basnan in San Diego, California, and engaged in a consensually recorded conversation. The meeting took place predominantly in blank. The meeting was consensually monitored and surveilled by agents. Summarized herein are some of the comments made by Basnan during this meeting. The relevant portions of this conversation are met forth below. And source met with Basnan. They greeted each other and exchanged pleasantries. Note, after the meeting, the source commented that Basnan, throughout the conversation, appeared on several occasions to begin to discuss events surrounding the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks in a way that seemed to indicate Basnan had some prior information or knowledge regarding the terrorist attacks. However, source further commented that each time it seemed Basnan was beginning to discuss information indicative of Basnan having prior knowledge of the events of September 11, 2000, Basnan would catch himself. That's a type error. Basnan would catch himself, change the topic, or attempt to diminish or contradict what he begun to say. Basnan's statement, blank, in the quote above may be one such an example. Now, as you can see, most of the conversation is redacted. This is one of the more pertinent comments by Basnan. Here, Basnan seems to indicate that he has knowledge of terrorist training in general, and more specifically, knowledge of the demeanor of the hijackers when they were training in preparation for the terrorist events of September 11, 2001. Source then asks, blank. And as you can see, it's redacted, most of it. Now, here's the source of Basnan. As you can see, most of it's redacted. I'd like to know what they say. Note, this is one of the most pertinent statements by Basnan. Basnan admits that he used to live in the same apartment complex with some of the hijackers. Basnan, in two separate statements, emphatically asserts that he used to see them. An interview, blank, preparing the transcript about the meaning of the word see in the context which it is used, determined that Basnan at least admitted he knew who they were, saw them around the complex, but did not necessarily associate with or engage in conversations with the hijackers. However, the use of the word see in the context did not preclude Basnan having a more close association with hijackers and possibly talking directly with the hijackers. Interesting. At this point in the conversation, Basnan provided no further clarification on how extensive the relationship with the hijackers was. And you can see parts of the notes are blank. Basnan discusses, it's blank, Basnan and source discussed the detention of Omar Al Bayoumi as a material witness. Now he's in detention in Yemen at this time, I'm sorry, United Kingdom at this time. So that would mean, and this right here means that this was taken after 9/11. So now we know for sure, because Omar Al Bayoumi was held in detention at the United Kingdom when he returned to Saudi Arabia, and on his way to return, he went to the United Kingdom and they arrested him. So this was after 9/11. Note, source has positively identified the person they were referring to as Omar Al Bayoumi, who was actually detained in Great Britain, blank, Basnan, blank, source blank, Basnan, blank. So the conversation is redacted, but the note are partially redacted. So note, investigation to date has been able to confirm that hijackers Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar lived with Al Bayoumi. Al Bayoumi was a reference for al-Mihdhar and al-Hazmi when they moved out of Al Bayoumi's apartment into the apartment next door. Here, Basnan asserts that Al Bayoumi knows the hijackers, something Al Bayoumi has denied. That's right. This is huge because now we have Al Bayoumi who lied to FBI investigators and to the 9/11 Commission about ever meeting Osama Basnan or Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Here it is, to Osama Basnan's own discussion with the source, his own words, prove that Al Bayoumi knew the hijackers. Now we have Al Bayoumi working for the Saudi government, being paid by the Saudi government, knew the hijackers. And here it is, with a third cooperating tongue, second cooperating tongue, who is an associate of Al Bayoumi, that Al Bayoumi knew the hijackers. And here it is, not just from the here it is from an associate of Al Bayoumi who claims to have not known either the associate or the hijackers. In a debrief after the consensual conversation with Basnan, the source stated that the Omar they referred to was the person source positively identified as Omar Al Bayoumi. After source and Basnan clarified that they were speaking about Al Bayoumi, Osama Basnan states, blank. Man, I'd like to know what's in these redacted statements. Must be huge. The statement blank indicates that Basnan knows some information regarding the events surrounding the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks that source is unaware of. So, whatever Al Bayoumi is stating is indicating that he has some information about the terrorist attacks. We don't know the content of that information because it's redacted. It also suggests that Basnan is not inclined to openly discuss his knowledge of these events with Source. In addition, in a post-debrief interview of Source commented that when Basnan made the statement about blank, Basnan was referring to some undefined blank plan to conquer the United States or subject the United States to the will of the Muslim people. Basnan's source discussed, it's all redacted, and I believe more of it's redacted here. Note, Basnan in fact lives at blank Mount Ada Road, blank San Diego, California. Before Basnan made the above statements, there were unconfirmed news reports that some of the hijackers lived at blank Mount Ada Road, blank San Diego, California. Investigation to date is inconclusive on whether or not any of the hijackers lived at blank. Taken together, these statements show Basnan had knowledge of the hijackers' whereabouts during a time just weeks prior to September 11, 2001 attacks. That means that Basnan knew that they were living in New Jersey because that's where they were before the attacks happened, and in New York as well. It also shows Basnan knows who they were living with. This information is not publicly known, nor has it been confirmed in the captioned investigation, which means Basnan had to had been still in contact with these people, knowing who they were living with and where they lived, because nobody knew at this time, allegedly. When I mean allegedly, doesn't mean that other intelligence agencies didn't know where they were. And as you can see, Basnan in the source redacted more. And this is the last page. Note, this statement is pertinent because in this instance, Basnan asserts Al Bayoumi was interrogated by the FBI about the terrorist hijackings of September 11, 2001. But Al Bayoumi denied knowing Basnan and did not disclose information about Basnan's involvement in the hijackings. This is evident when Basnan refers to his role and says blank. So there it is. That's it. That was the last page. So now we have the following. 1. Omar Al Bayoumi knew Osama Basnan and Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. 2. Omar Al Bayoumi was paid by the Saudi government working at the Saudi SVP. 3. Osama Basnan, an associate of Omar Al Bayoumi, confirms that Al Bayoumi knew Osama Basnan and the hijackers. 4. Osama Basnan knew at some point some of the information relating to the September 11th hijackers and their whereabouts just weeks prior to the events themselves. Now, what was going on in these redacted pages? Now, what else can we uncover? Well, in the next couple of days, I'm going to be reviewing these pages, and anything else revealing comes up, I'll make sure to share them with you. So stay tuned to the channel. Take care.